Let's talk about something I think pretty much all of us have felt at some point: emotional hunger. That urge to eat when your stomach isn't actually rumbling? We're going to get into why that happens.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a question. Have you ever been in the middle of eating something, maybe a bag of chips or a slice of cake, and you suddenly stop? Not because you're full, but because this wave of guilt just hits you out of nowhere. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, you are definitely not alone. That feeling of regret is actually a huge clue. In fact, solid research from the academic journal Current Science confirms it. That guilt often means you weren't feeding your body's physical hunger, you were trying to feed an emotion.
So, the first step, and it's a big one, is just learning to tell the difference between the two. Let's break down what real physical hunger feels like versus its trickier cousin, emotional hunger. When you look at them side by side, the differences are pretty stark. Physical hunger is patient, right? It kind of builds up slowly, you feel it in your stomach, and an apple might sound just as good as a cookie. But emotional hunger, whoa, that's a whole different animal. It hits you suddenly, it feels urgent, and it doesn't want an apple. It wants that specific thing: the pizza, the ice cream. It's a craving that lives in your head, and it's the one that almost always leaves that feeling of guilt behind. And this really gets to the heart of it. The resource helpguide.org, which is a great one, puts it perfectly. They say, emotional hunger craves junk food or sugary snacks that provide an instant rush. You feel like you need cheesecake or pizza, and nothing else will do. It's that intense, specific demand that's your signal.
So, why on earth does this happen? Is it just a lack of willpower? Not at all. The real answer is way more fascinating, and it has everything to do with our brain chemistry. Think about it. When we feel stressed or sad or even just bored, our brain's number one job is to make us feel better and fast. So it goes searching for the quickest, easiest path to a little bit of pleasure, an immediate reward. And the main character in this whole reward story is a little brain chemical called dopamine. You've probably heard of it as the feel-good neurotransmitter. Well, a ton of academic research shows that those really tasty foods, the ones high in sugar, fat, and salt, can trigger a release of dopamine. It gives us a temporary feeling of pleasure and relief, which isn't so different from how some addictive substances work. And this process creates this incredibly powerful loop in our brains. It goes like this. Step 1, you feel a negative emotion. Step 2, you reach for that comfort food. Step 3, your brain gets that rewarding hit of dopamine, and for a moment, you feel better. And then step 4, and this is the most important part, your brain learns that this food equals relief. So it reinforces the habit, making you more likely to do it the next time you feel that way. It's a really efficient but kind of problematic learning process. But it's not just about dopamine. Research from another great academic journal called Appetite adds another layer to this. It suggests that for some of us, our body's stress hormone system is a little more reactive. This means when we get stressed, our bodies might pump out more cortisol, making that urge to self-medicate with food feel even more intense and harder to ignore. So we've got this powerful brain chemistry pushing us to eat. But what happens after we eat is what turns this from a simple habit into a truly vicious cycle, one that's fueled by the very feelings we're trying to escape. It all kicks off with a trigger, a tough day at work, a feeling of loneliness, or just being bored out of your mind, some difficult emotion that we just don't want to sit with. That feeling then leads us straight to the food. We're using it not for fuel, but for a quick hit of comfort, a little moment of distraction. But as we all know, that relief is so short-lived. Almost as soon as it's over, it's replaced by this flood of shame, regret, and guilt for eating when we weren't really hungry. And here is the truly cruel twist. These new negative feelings, the guilt and the shame, they now become the next trigger to eat. Academic studies actually have a name for this. They call it a self-perpetuating cycle. You eat because you feel bad, and then you feel bad because you ate. It's a loop that can be incredibly difficult to break. So that's the cycle. And I know it can feel pretty relentless, but the really good news is that just understanding it is the key to breaking it. So let's switch gears and talk about the path forward with some effective research-backed strategies. The most important thing to remember is this. The goal isn't just to use willpower to stop eating. That's only treating the symptom. As research from a very credible academic source, PMC, suggests, the real goal is to find healthier, more effective ways to actually manage your emotions in the first place.
And here are some really powerful tools for that. First up, mindfulness. This is about learning to just notice your feelings and cravings without judging them. It creates this tiny, crucial pause between the urge and the action. Then there are techniques from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which is considered a gold standard here. It helps you challenge those thoughts that cause guilt. And of course, developing new coping skills, things that actually soothe the emotion, like calling a friend or putting on some music. And finally, self-compassion. This one is huge. Research consistently shows that being kind to yourself after you slip up instead of beating yourself up dramatically reduces the chance that the cycle will repeat.
And this isn't just some nice idea. It's backed by solid academic research. A quote from an article in the journal PMC says it all. Fostering self-compassion can help individuals reframe guilt and develop healthier emotional regulation strategies. It's about swapping that harsh inner critic for a kinder, more supportive voice. It's just a much more powerful way to change. So, I want to leave you with this thought. The next time you find yourself reaching for a snack and you know deep down you're not physically hungry, what if you just took 1 second to pause and ask yourself a simple question? What am I truly hungry for right now? The answer to that question might just change everything.